there was a rabbi fundraising for an institution in Israel who found himself one Shabbos at the home of Dr. and Mrs. Prenzlau in Denver, Colorado. This story is actually shared in a book, Oma's Stories about the Prenzlau family. And the rabbi relates that just before the Friday night Kiddush, Dr. Prenzlau called his children over in order to give each of them a blessing. Now, this didn't surprise the rabbi. He'd seen this custom before. But he said soon after, Dr. Prenzlau walks into the kitchen, opens the refrigerator, takes out the bottle of wine, looks at the bottle, and he calls the children over again, and he gathers the children around as he opens the bottle of wine. Now, this puzzled the rabbi. He asked Dr. Prenzlau, he said, I've seen people gather their children in order to give them a blessing, but what were you doing gathering them to open a bottle of wine? And Dr. Prenzlau explained that as he took the bottle of wine out of the refrigerator, he looked at the label and he realized it was Carmel wine, that it was made in Israel. And the Talmud says that the air of the land of Israel is holy. The air of the land of Israel is spiritual. Breathing in the air of the land of Israel makes a person wiser. And Dr. Prenzlau related that when he looked at the bottle of wine, he realized that between the cork and the wine was some air. And this bottle being bottled in the land of Israel meant that the air in this bottle of wine was air of the land of Israel. He explained he called his children over so that when he opened this bottle of wine, they would breathe in the air of the land of Israel and reap the spiritual benefits. I think this is a beautiful story for us to think about on Tu B'Shvat. On Tu B'Shvat, many of us have a custom of going out of our way to eat fruit, and specifically to go out of our way to eat the fruit of the land of Israel, to eat a pomegranate, a date, any of the fruits in which the Torah blesses the land of Israel. But it's important for us that our connection to the land of Israel is not something that is relegated to just 1, 2, or 3 days of the year. We need to make sure that we're connected to the land of Israel every day of the year. Now, I'm not suggesting that every time we open a bottle of something that was packaged in Israel, that we should breathe in, smell the aroma of the wine. I'm not saying we should necessarily do that. But we should make sure that our connection to the land of Israel is not something that's just 1 day a year. We should make sure that as we pray for the land of Israel, that we think about our brothers and sisters living in Israel. We should make sure as we read the news to follow what's going on in the land of Israel. Having a connection to the land of Israel is a very meaningful part of our lives and an important facet of our Judaism. I wish us all a wonderful Shabbos and a happy Tu B'Shvat.